Hey, Barbecue Church family, what's going on? Hope everybody's having a wonderful day, whatever day you're watching this. Shout out to you. Shout out for being a part of the family. We're glad you're here, even if you just stumbled upon this for no good reason. Or if you feel like it's no good reason, I think there's a reason. We're glad you're here. Hey, man, listen, I just had some homies come over to the house, some really good friends, and it was a real good time. And it's just wild because it really kind of kept everything together for me and put everything into perspective for me. Like, I know, like, what we do at Barbecue Church is different. The way that we push out stuff on social media, and then we have like the Barbecue Assembly of God group, which is for people just to share what they're cooking, and we share all that stuff, and we try and be encouraging to people. You know, we do these sermons, and I need to try to get back outside doing them. I just don't want to ruin the audio with all the background noise, and maybe I'll just do it, and you'll understand that the background noise can be wild. But I sat down at a table with friends that I've known for some 17, 18 years, and then somebody that I met, I haven't even known for 17 days, and realizing that God had put us together just 2-3 weeks ago, had put us in the same place at the same time, so that, one, he and his family could connect to Barbecue Church, but for him to be able to come over to spend time with me and some of my friends that are dear to my heart, some Barbecue Church family, and then have a moment where we're sitting there talking about what God is doing in our lives and what God has done in our life and what we believe God is going to continue doing in our lives. And then we had a moment of like prayer. Just, we ate some ribs. I did a rack of ribs with Reload Rub double action on there, and then I sprinkled a little bit of that blackout on top of it just to kind of add a little bit of extra to it. We did some drumsticks. I did some apple pie baked beans. It was great. I did some corn, and I smoked some filet mignon. It was great. And then how about this? I overcooked because I'm a medium rare guy. I actually overcooked the filet mignon. I had some other stuff going, and so we started eating the ribs. We're eating the corn, like we're eating everything. We're talking, we're fellowshipping, we're having fun. I forgot about the filet. There's 2 fillets. I forgot about them. And so I get out there, and they're at like a medium well temp. Now, they were rocking low, and they were still mad tender, but I pulled them off. I checked the temp, and I go, gosh, dog, man. I felt like I messed it up. I was like, man, I ruined them. So I let them rest a little bit. Listen, my homeboy Kenneth cut into it. He goes, boy, it looked like a brisket. And he cut into it, and it was over medium rare for show. For show. But, man, it kind of looked like a brisket, but it had that tender filet bite to it with mad flavor. I was like, man, look at God. Look at God. When you feel like you did it wrong, God turns around for good. That's a sermon. So that happened. We prayed for my homie that was here. And it was something that he needed in his life. And that's Barbecue Church, man. We had people over the house. We ate barbecue, and we sat there, and then we prayed. That's what we do. Man, church doesn't have to be what everyone else says it is, or it's not a building. We say it all the time. Church ain't a building. Church ain't a building. Yeah, it's not. It's wherever we are, because we out here. So it's just a good time. But look, so we have Father's Day coming up, and so next week I'm gonna do something a little bit different. But I want to talk about fathers this week. I'm going to talk about that now, and then we'll talk about what's happening a little bit later. But when you look at fatherhood in the Old Testament, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, if you're down with Old Testament, you'll see that there was always, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob always blessed their kids. It was their thing. It was a big deal for you to get the blessing of your father. For your dad to lay hands on you and bless you. And it was a symbol of, it was saying, hey, Here's what I think about you. Here's what I believe about you. Here's what the future is going to look like. Here's what your inheritance is going to be. And they would speak life over them because they realize that what you speak over your children is what they will become. And you have to give them words to live by. And there's a lot of times in our lives where we can remember the words that our father spoke about us, be it whether it was good or whether it was bad, and it can affect who we are, and it's affected who we've grown up to be. And some of us need to honestly get to a point where we're healed from those words and healed from the things that have been said about us from our fathers. You know, the negative stuff, the stuff that has shaped us into someone else or shaped us in a way that is not the way we're supposed to be formed. And some of us need to be forgiving and need to be healed from the fact that our dads weren't there for us. You know, like there's a lot of us out there who didn't have the dads that could speak a blessing over us or that were even in our lives at any capacity. And some dads that have just walked away. Some of us need to be healed from that. And we do. And we need to start working on that and work on that process. And if that's you, reach out, holler at your boy, or start working that out, start praying that out, and start forgiving in your heart. But we look at the father's blessing, and we look at the fact that everybody wanted their dad to bless them. Everybody wanted their dad to bless them. Everybody wanted, Jacob and Esau, when you look at them, what is that, Genesis 25, 26, somewhere in there? Where's Jacob and Esau? Where Jacob tricks his dad into blessing him instead of be blessed, because Jacob was second. They were twins. Jacob came afterwards, so Esau was supposed to get the blessing, but Jacob tricked his dad into giving him the blessing, and it was a bad situation. It's a big deal to receive the blessing. It's a big deal to receive that blessing. And it's a big deal for us as fathers to be there for our kids and to love them and to bless them and to guide them and to lead them. And we just need to do that. It's a lot of Father's Day sermons. I mean, I know it's not Father's Day right now when I'm recording this or even when I'm going to show this. But since it's coming up, we're going to talk about it. Father's Day, a lot of churches, sometimes they like to come at the dads and tell them to be better. And they like to harp on the dads and beat them down and make them feel like they're less than. And a lot of us work really hard. A lot of us put in a lot of work to be who we are and to be there for our families and be there for our kids. And we're out there struggling and not telling anybody that we're struggling. We're just out there. And then on Father's Day, at times you can go out to church and, you have a pastor yelling at you saying, "You're not doing enough for your family." It's like, I'm out here, it gets hard. Listen, hey, dads, you're doing a good job, man. Keep doing it. If you're there, do a good job. If you're taking care of your family, do that. If you're doing something you don't need to do, get some help. Stop doing it. Stop doing the wrong thing, Come on. Like, let's talk about it. Let's be about it. Let's be about that life. And let's be the type of men that bless our children and bless our family. We need to get back to that, and we need to keep doing that. I think about, my biological father is gone. He passed 8-9 years ago. It's amazing to see what God has done in my life through the years. But if you're ever around me and you're around my family now, I'll be hanging out. I'll be sitting around, and I'll introduce you to my dad. I'll introduce you to him. And you're going to be like, wait a second. Because I don't make a distinction on who my father is. Like, I don't go biological father and this, that. Like, I don't do all that. But if you run around me and my family, you'll meet George. That's my dad. I'm not going to make any distinctions. No, that's my dad. Just is. That's my dad. That is the man who stepped up in my life and has stood there and been that man in my life to help bless me, help me grow into who I am becoming. Even now, as a grown man, as a 44-year-old man, I still have a dad who speaks life into me and who blesses me and who's there for me and who calls me to check up on me, I have that. And I'm not going to be like, oh, that's not, no, I don't have, you don't need to know what's going on. I think about my friend, Brian, who I talk about all the time. Brian has 3 boys. He has 3. 2 of them look like him. The other one doesn't. He makes no distinction on his children. They're all his children. One doesn't look like him. But that's his kid. He celebrates his kid. He blesses his kid. He speaks well of all of his kids. They're all his. They're all his. And they all carry his last name. It's a big deal. And I watch as he has led his boys to just be honoring, respectful men. And I'm like, man, I want to be like you. I pray my kids grow up to be like your boys did, because I watch it, I see it. I'm like, man, that inspires me. That inspires me to be a great dad. And as we're talking about blessing, what happened for me a couple years ago is I had a guy in my life who actually wasn't even in my life at the time. I'm talking to one of my best friends in the world, and he goes, hey man, my father-in-law's in the car. He has a word for you. It was on Thanksgiving. It was like, ugh. I can't remember how long, when was that? That was like 6-7 years ago. Thanksgiving Day. Chilling. He says he has a word. He starts praying for me. This man who did not know me, but I knew his story because I was friends with his kids. And so he prayed for me as a father. And in that moment, he says, I'm your dad at this point, and I'm going to bless you as your father. And I'm like, bet. Let's go. Now, the wild thing is that I knew what his story was. And years back, he was a part of an organization that didn't think too fondly of people with the same skin color as me. I'm not saying who they were. And you don't need to say it in the comments. But let's just say that it's an organization that didn't really like all this. They weren't down with this. He was a part of that in the past. Has since come out, shifted his life around, and then says, hey, I'm adopting you as a son. I'm going to be a spiritual father to you, and I'm going to pray a blessing over you. And that man still blesses to this day, loves me to this day, still watches these sermons to this day, blesses Barbecue Church. Like the camera I'm using right now is one that he helped buy. That's my family. It's great to have men out here who are being a blessing to other men. We need to be a blessing to the people around us. So be a blessing to your family, be a blessing to your children, and be a blessing to other people that God puts in your life. Bless people. I wrote a father's blessing that normally when I preach other places, I will I'll do that at the end of every sermon that I do when I'm on the road. And it's been something I do. I love it. It's a great thing, and people like that. And so what I'm doing is next week when it is Father's Day, I'm not doing like a big sermon. All I'm pushing out next weekend, it'll probably drop like Friday or Saturday, but we're going to drop the Father's blessing. That's what we're going to do. That's all it's going to be. We're going to drop a Father's blessing. It might be 2 to 3 minutes. And that's what we're going to do. And you can watch it. You can receive it and hear it as someone that, if you didn't have somebody that blessed you as a father, or a father that you felt like loved you, or a father that was there that would actually bless you, you can hear that coming from me next week and go, hey, that's my dad, or I received this blessing, I take this blessing as mine. You can take that blessing and begin to bless your family, whatever you want to do. But that's what we're going to put out. So I'm going to load that up. And like I said, it's going to drop before Sunday. So there won't be an official Barbecue Church sermon. It'll just be the Father's blessing that'll drop at some point in that weekend. I'll also drop it in a bunch of different forms. Like it might be a grill video. It might be me prepping pork butts or something. But we're just going to put the blessing out in a bunch of different ways. And then we're also going to make posters available so that you can purchase the poster. Like we'll have the size. We have the size ready to go so that you can purchase the print and then send it to Walgreens and have them do it. And it'll be super cheap. It's not going to be like, oh, look at it. Like, it's not anything like that. It'll just be something that you can take, send it to Walgreens.com, have them print it up for you. You can put it on your wall or anything like that. So that'll be available next week as well. And anything that comes in from that, it's gonna be next to nothing. But anything that comes in from that is gonna go through to us doing more of this type of stuff and getting a little bit more equipment to do what we do. I keep everything on the up and up, and I'm super straightforward about it. So it is what it is. Love y'all. But look, if you don't have a relationship with God and you want to start one, it's a simple prayer. You just going, hey, Jesus, I believe you're real. I believe you died on a cross. Came back to life. And you want to have a relationship with us. So come into my life, change who I am, and help me to be who you've created me to be. And then you text Journey to the number on the screen. You'll get a 30-day devotional once you fill out your information, walking you through the first 30 days of what it means to be a Christ follower. And that is that. So look, be a blessing. Bless the people around you. Make sure you're being a blessing to your family. We hope all you dads out there, all you fathers, have a great Father's Day. Do have a great week. Have fun. Smoke something. Grill something. Post it online. Let us see it. Tag us in it. It'll be great. And we'll see you next week. Make sure you check out the Father's Blessing next week. And make sure you share it with your kids. Share it with your family. Share it with anybody that needs blessed, that you know is struggling. And we're just going to keep moving forward. It's going to be a great summer. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. And we are out.